Juba's High Score Challenge, and the game this time is Ketsui, and I can't remember the rest of the title, but we'll just call it Ketsui for now. It's a cave shooter. I've got a confession to make from the outset that I know Cave, a very reputable developer, made lots of great shooting games. However, I've not actually got into them properly before. I've played the odd one here and there, but it's not a. I've always found it sort of a little bit difficult to get to grips with the scoring system, and I've never quite played one for long enough to sort of fully get to grips with it. But this is what's so good about the Juba's High Score Challenge, is that games like this get nominated, and we play it and really get to learn about the game, as well as push for those all-important high scores as well. Just a quick overview in terms of the mechanics of the game. It did take me a while to work this out with the scoring, but you get your sort of like tokens, as they are, up to 5 points worth if you destroy an enemy when you're close. If you're further away, then you only get 1 point for it. So to get those big scores, you really want to be in the enemy's faces and just like nailing them, basically. It's not quite as simple as that though, and this is one bit I was struggling to work out for a while, because you kind of use your sort of auto normal shot to take out the enemies and get those tokens, but you got like the beam shot as well. What I couldn't work out for a bit is that usually when using the beam shot, the enemies didn't only sort of dropped 1 token or things, or wasn't getting the big scores. And it's almost like with some of the larger enemies, you've kind of got to like break their shell, as it were, with the normal shot, and then just like finish them off with like the beam and like the lock-on fire, and that seems to sort of yield quite a lot of big points. So you get like a big drop of like 5 tokens. But that's the general mechanics, and you build up all these tokens throughout the level, and then at the end it kind of like just like multiplies them all. Without going into too much detail, kind of like your total ticks down the longer you fight the end boss. But so you build up your score throughout the level, take out the boss, then that multiplies with whatever bits and bobs to give you like a nice end of level bonus. I finished that first level though with just over 9 million, which I was absolutely chuffed with. The best I'd got before was about 8.8, and that was a rare occasion. So this was kind of like a whoa. That's like I was very pleased. I did see one video on YouTube, someone doing like a world record run, and they got some crazy like 20 million, which fair dues. But I was never going to get anywhere near that. But 9 million, delighted with. Okay, so let's get into the game. One of the first things, well, not one of the first things, but when I was playing this, yes, it's like a bullet hell thingy, but the difficulty reminded me a lot of Raiden. I mean, I've not played a huge amount of shooting up games, but one I played not too long ago was Raiden 4, and the difficulty in that, this just reminded me of that in terms of like making progress through it, because you play through it and at first like, this is impossible, how am I going to get through that? But little by little, and like somehow you just like end up sort of finding a way through, and before you know it, you kind of like not coasting by any means, crikey, plenty of restarts involved, but you sort of like you get more comfortable with each level, and you can work your way through them a lot easier. Just about the nature of these bullet hell games, and one of the reasons I haven't sort of taken to them much before as well is that you got a very small hitbox, and I always found it just a bit too confusing in terms of like I'm trying to dodge a bullet, but I'm almost having to like dodge twice to sort of just get my big sprite out of the way, then sort of just dodge again just to make sure it doesn't hit me little hitbox, and it just seemed to me to be a little bit of like random chance rather than some other shooting games where you like hit by a bullet fair and square. Like with this, it's kind of like, is it going to hit me? Is it not? I'm just not sure. But with playing this more and more and getting to grips with it, I've really got to enjoy it. And yeah, that issue I did have about the just how the bullets and how I was dodging them and things wasn't really an issue anymore, and it just became sort of part of the challenge and the game in itself. Because although sometimes dodging can seem a little bit random, which is not, by the way, it's like with all good games, you get to control in terms of dealing with like the fire coming at you. It's not just like crazy like dodge around like a mad bastard and just like hope for the best. It's kind of there is logic to it. There is skill and technique to minimise your chances of getting like blown out of the sky, basically. So onto the third level here. Just quickly, I'll just do just like the graphics and the feel and like sound and music on this level as well. And this is where, for me, it's really, if it wasn't intense enough already, it certainly is now. With those big enemies which appear on the screen, I didn't do so much with those battleships there, but one of the ways of sort of staying alive is to sort of, when you do get a big enemy on the screen, is to get your lock on fire onto it ASAP, take it out, because it's just going to sit there soaking up your bullets and covering the screen with their bullets. So you're kind of doing this like switching between your auto fire to take out the smaller enemies into like the big fire to take out the big enemies. So one thing which made a huge difference to my game as well was when I first started playing it for quite a while, I was just having like one finger on the auto fire, big enemy comes along, take finger off, press finger on the lock on fire, and I was doing alright, but it's kind of like I soon found, thanks to just having a quick read of the game facts, just something someone mentioned, or it was on some kind of forum, but the technique really is you pretty much constantly always want one finger on the auto, and then just like as and when you just like hold down the second one at the same time to bring your lock on out, to whip that out, and that way you can kind of like alternate between them so like pretty quickly. And it's important to do so because you might just need to sort of spray off a quick auto fire just to sort of take out some of the smaller enemies before going straight back onto like a lock-on shot to take out one of the bigger enemies. And that was my first life there, which I lost. To be honest, I was like amazed that I'd got that far without losing a life. It was the first time I got that far without losing a life. And before as well, I was actually, before this run, I was thinking I just want to beat 30 million, and I'll be happy with that. But to do so without losing a life, I was like, whoa, I'm on a good run here. By now as well, I'm less familiar with the bosses and the game, so it's kind of like it's bomb time certainly. Like, and especially considering how well I've done so far, it's like just not wanting to die with any bombs at all. Like, really sort of want to make full use of them. Though that particular attack always gets me on that boss, by the way. I've not managed to dodge that once so far. So here we are, just sort of trying to finish off the boss here. I could have chanced and just like held out to get last bit of energy, but no, fuck it. So just take out the boss. I've got a great score. Just going to that next level like with the life remaining. So yeah, this one's tricky because, well, of course it's tricky, but the enemies here, they're kind of like in between in a way. They're not like they're not big enemies, but they're not. Well, they're too big for your auto fire, some of them, but there's like at the same time they're not sort of big enemies. And I should actually be using the lock on a lot more here with those larger ships. That's something I'm not doing well at this particular point, and because of that, I essentially I lost control of the board there, and I just got overwhelmed. So here we go. So last life, but with a fresh supply. Got a couple of bombs. So mid-level boss. Yeah, bottled it a bit there, and I was lucky I just didn't get blown to pieces anyway, but I sort of did a late reaction bomb shot afterwards. Now I'm thinking I'm fucked, but it's kind of like, yeah, just try your best, isn't it? Yeah, there's no other choice. And some heroic dodging skills there. And yeah, I was very pleased to take out the boss, or mid-boss. Okay, and there's this thing which is huge. By now, by the way, yeah, I literally got nervous sweat. I could just feel cold sweat sort of dripping down the armpits. Very nice. Yeah, that's not an exaggeration here. So, into the corner, boom. I certainly like to play a lot more of this game. With a lot more practice, I could eventually complete it, I think, but it's not something I'm going to be able to do today, in time for the Tubers High Score Challenge results. But it's certainly one I'd like to return to. But yeah, the difficulty is great, and it is that just it seems impossible when you get to various bits, but somehow you push through, and next time you play it, you just get that bit further, and it's like, wow, and it's just gradually chipping away, making progress. But that was my score there. So I didn't actually see what it was, so we'll have to just double check that. I think it was like 37 million or something, but to be confirmed. Will it show it? No, I don't think it will. But yeah, very chuffed. That is really about as good as I'll do today, so that's my score. Bye for now. Okay.